The year was 2007, and I got a call from a friend of mine by the name of Al Street, who is an incredible musician. And he had contacted me about doing this gig that he had for a jingles company in New York City. Now, me and Al have been friends for quite some time now because we did the corporate gig scene together, and we would often talk about working with each other outside the corporate gig because we had such a love and affection for funk, R&B, rock, and because we're both guitar players, it just made a lot of sense for us to come together the way that we did. So finally, that opportunity arose because of this jingles gig that he had in New York City, where he told me that the one of the leaders of the band told him that they wanted somebody who can sing, dance their ass off, knows the classics from funk to rock to R&B to jazz or whatever have you. And of course, Al thought that I would be a perfect fit for this particular show. Now, the only dilemma about this show was that my own band had a rehearsal across town in New York City. We were on 21st to do this hit on 21st between 5th and 6th in New York City, and my band was rehearsing on 33rd at Ultrasound Studios getting ready for this gig. So the strangest dilemma was my band not having me around to do the leadership thing, and here I am working it out with these guys that featured my boy Al. So it was kind of weird to be in one place working it out and killing the show. The show was unbelievable. It was one of the most fun times I had on stage. And it just so happens that in the horn section for this group that Al had was 2/3 of the Dap Kings. Of course, the founder, Neil Sugarman, was in this unit as well. And little did I know, in addition to him being the founder of the Dap Kings, which of course features my musical auntie, Sharon Jones, him and Al had a group together years ago called Three. And then there were a whole bunch of other related groups within their circle. The whole Daptone recording movement is just a movement in itself. And anybody knows anything about Brooklyn history or music history, then you know that there was a whole movement brewing when Sharon Jones and the Dap Kings started doing their thing about a good 8 or 9 years ago. And their movement has been that strong ever since. I mean, a lot of people don't know that those recordings were very instrumental in keeping real authentic 60s, 70s sounding songs alive. So when I got to know more about these guys, it just made even more sense that I was in the right company. Little did I know. Now, we did 2 great, incredible sets, tore the house down, until I got a call from my drummer Sky telling me, he said, "Hey Lord, man, is there any way you can make it over here within an hour after you're done doing what you're doing, because we really need you here?" And of course, I couldn't leave my boys hanging too long, so I had to tell Neil and Al and the rest of the guys that, look, fellas, I got to go and make sure that my band is okay. And, I was upset about it, and they was kind of distraught about it. But I told them, I gave them my car, I said, "Fellas, listen to me. I'm at a point now in my career where I pick and choose my projects carefully." Because at that time, my Plan 12 movement was already building a lot of momentum, and I was still doing work with the P-Funk organization with George and the rest of the fellas. So I gave them my card and said, "Look, if y'all ever need me for any gig and I'm available, please give me a call, because I really love working with y'all guys." And as fate would have it, 2 weeks later, I get a call from Sharon Jones and the Dap Kings management, who had told me not only through the recommendation of Al and Neil for that gig that I did for them, but also they went to my MySpace page and they said they loved what they heard, the music. They saw the clips of me with Carlton J. Smith, my other big brother with the shows that we did at the BB Kings with the Motown and soul reviews and things of that nature. They saw all those clips plus heard the music, and they said that they think that I'd be a perfect fit to sing behind this new artist by the name of Amy Winehouse. Now, when I say this new artist, is because Law did not know who Amy Winehouse was. True story. I had no idea who Amy Winehouse was. So the fact that the Dap Kings were involved, I was already somewhat kind of gung-ho, because I know one thing about the Dap Kings is that they don't put their name on anything if it's not authentic. So I knew there had to be something special about this particular female artist the minute I heard who she was and why these guys were affiliated with her. So I told Sharon Jones management I'll call them right back. So I went to my computer and did my little own quick research on Miss Amy Winehouse. Come to find out, this girl already had an album out in Europe called Frank. So this second album that was coming out was supposed to be her big American explosion, and the show was going to be on David Letterman as far as her debut was concerned. And this is why they picked me for the show. So when I started putting all this together, I went to the computer, I heard the songs, I was instantly blown away by her style, her image. It reminded me a lot of Ronnie Spector from the 60s, the whole beehive hairdo and the makeup, the way she stood in one spot and shook her leg. And I just got her whole vibe. And then what I was really impressed with was the fact that what many people forget is that Amy's not only an incredible songwriter, but she's also an accomplished musician. This girl was already in performing arts schools and always seemed to be ahead of the class from what I gathered when I did more research about who she was. So I called those people back and I said, I am so down. Let's do this. Let's get it cracking. And they FedEx the first two albums to me within a day. I got them. And the funny thing about it is that the two songs that I was listening to that I had to learn for the David Letterman show was Rehab and Valerie. But I went beyond that because I fell so in love with this girl's music that I began not just listening to those two songs. I began listening to both albums for that whole week and some change, and I became an even bigger fan. So, long story short, rehearsal time came. I met all the Dow Kings at one time, for the first time. They were just really, really embracing me and bringing me into the fold. I met Hashima and Zaylon, both brothers who had been there with Amy from the very beginning, because the true story part of it is that I was there to replace Hashima only for that particular gig because of the fact that he was doing a lot of soap opera work over there in London. So I was brought in to replace him and stand alongside his older brother, Zaylon. And let me just say that Zaylon and Hashima are not only incredible human beings, but these boys are vocal beasts. So it felt good to be in the company of some guys who can sing like me and have that same vibe and that same energy that was going on. They showed me the steps and, we were able to implement and come up with some stuff together as a whole. It was just a great time. I met Amy's boyfriend at the time, who later became her husband, Blake. It was just an incredible time. I went there, did the both rehearsals, didn't think nothing of it, and little did I know that we would be making history with that David Letterman performance. We did, and I was good with that. I made the money. It was great. It was a great experience, and I was just happy and content and really humble with that until I got a call from her manager, from Amy's manager, Ray. And Ray asked me, would I be interested in doing the 2007 MTV Movie Awards with Amy? Plus, she requested me. And this Brooklyn Hood boy just went through the roof, because keep in mind, I was never intended to be in the mix with her like that. It was only supposed to be for that one show, and that was it. But thank God for Amy. Whatever she saw in me, whatever Ray and those guys saw in me to make me to make them wanna to have me there for a second time doing her second major television debut in America. It's just beauty personified. I have, oh man, I'm getting speechless just even talking about it, because little did I know, that we would be making that kind of history. It gave me a first-hand look at the kind of impact that she had, because on David Letterman and even backstage at the MTV Movie Awards, everybody wanted to meet Amy. Bruce Willis, Fergie, you name it. Any star who was a big star, a big celebrity, everybody was anticipating Amy's performance, because the album had got such a critical vamp and a critical acclaim that, people just waiting to see us do our thing and to see, Amy get out there and kill it. So, I'm just glad to be a part of her legacy. I thank her so much. In many ways it was because of her co-sign of not only my album, but of my talent, by having me on stage with her performing, that I wouldn't be where I'm at right now. She's definitely a great milestone in my career, and that's all I can really say. She's going to be missed in so many different ways, and I'm going to save my next vlog for talking about what went into the show, some of the stuff that y'all may not know about Amy, and just my intimate conversations with her and different things like that, because I really want to share to you what kind of a woman she was amidst all the controversy and bullshit that you're hearing about her, her drug use and all the other crazy stuff that went along with it, because at the end of the day, no matter what this girl did in her personal life, her music will continue to stand the test of time, just as it did for the last 4 years when she didn't even put out a third album. People were still buzzing about those first two albums. So stay tuned for the next blog as I'll break down some of these stories to you. Thank you so much for listening.